Check it out. Thursdays, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Eastern. A healthy dose of Jersey Girl wisdom. Live with Rev Jersey Girl. Sponsored by New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good morning, good afternoon, beloveds, from wherever you are. Welcome. Welcome from Atlanta. So I'm Michelle Wadleigh, Rev Jersey Girl, as most of you know me, and welcome to the show again, another week. And today I'm gonna do a big confession here, kind of sort of a confession. I made an error, and my beloved husband is going to save me because I have been a tiny bit. Have you ever noticed how life can sometimes overwhelm you? I don't know about you. Maybe I'm the only person in the world. But for me, in recent months, I have had to deal with a beautiful new granddaughter being born, but also some death in the family. And my home has been, hi, Jude. My home has been under construction for many months, and we are literally without furniture and living like we're camping inside the house. So that's my excuse, not really an excuse, but it's kind of my excuse for why I have a little bit of chaos. But I am going to tell you that next week we're going to have the Reverend Dr. Georgia Prescott here talking about the amazing anti-racism work that she's doing in the world. And the week after, my guest will be Danae Shanti. But today, somebody that I love dearly, and you'll understand why I say this in a moment, and someone who has filled up my life at a time when I needed that. And I want to warmly introduce you, for those of you who might know him, might not know him, I want to introduce you today to my husband, the Reverend Neil Pinkman. So Neil, come on in.
Hello.
Hey, darling. So, we're bobbing and weaving, but Neil and I are so used to showing up and doing what we need to do to support each other and really to support each other. He and I are both of the same mind that we just say yes. Yes is kind of an unspoken mantra for both of us. And so it's great. And today we want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be in a relationship. Now, not that some of you don't know that already. Many of you have that happening. But what it's like to be in a relationship as an adult. Because as we're younger, we choose relationships for different reasons, right? We choose them often for the idea of procreation. But as adults, you might choose for a different reason, and that reason is co-creation. And so that's been the very essence of our life together, Neil and I. And so welcome.
It's great to be here. I love your show, I must say. I watch it all the time.
Yes, I'm glad you're a fan.
I'm shocked that you think there are people who might not know who I am. I mean, honestly, I have been, I've known Michelle since about 2008, I believe it is, around that time. But for a good 10 years, been involved with Centers for Spiritual Living. And people are starting to know me as who I am. But for the most part, I was known as Mr. Michelle Wadleigh, because I kind of walked on, in her coattails there as far as coming into the organization and getting to know everybody. And that was an honor. So
we have joked about, we have never done it yet, but we have joked about using the name Pinkley, Mr. and Mrs. Pinkley, which is obviously a combination of, his last name and my last name. So sometimes we do use that as a reference. We use Pinkley, and it doesn't matter. We had one idea going for a little bit, but the beauty of what Neil and I have going together is that we like to work. We both like to work, and so we like to create. And one of the things we're both very proud of right now is the Planned Happiness Institute and the work that we're doing there. And so I'll let Neil talk a little bit about, how that came about and how we resurrected this organization from an old nonprofit. And Neil, why don't you fill them in on that for me a little bit?
Yeah, because it really did come from a couple of different angles, a couple of different ways. I personally have been a lifelong entrepreneur from the time I was 10 years old, and the lights went on. Somebody said they'd pay me to mow their lawn. So I was thrilled. It was like, oh, okay. So this idea of the co-creative approach of our relationship is great. It's in a way, I guess it's partly a curse, because Michelle's entrepreneurial spirit is the same as mine. And it probably wouldn't be bad if we could slow down and stop creating things sometimes. But, the idea of the Planned Happiness Institute, from the time that Michelle and I got together, we obviously had been involved with the Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, which she founded 20 years ago and has done a wonderful job of building that. But we are always looking for ways to do work above and beyond, additional, around, in any way we can to help people and to serve. And, we went through a couple of different iterations of things. But if you've watched this show at all, you've probably heard Michelle talk about her original spiritual teacher, Rita, where she started when she was just this high, literally. And she got
knee high to a grasshopper is how I usually introduce
that's right.
myself.
She got so much from that. And it was in our trying to evolve what we were doing, there were two things we knew that were really important. And that is, all the work we were doing with everybody we were doing was based on the fact that what everybody really is after is just to be happy. They want to live a happy life. And that is the goal of all the work we do, individually with people, classes with people, trying to get them their freedom so they can live a joy-filled, happy life. And the Planned Happiness Institute is actually an organization that Rita started back in 1957. So it goes back. My math isn't that sharp right now, but it's somewhere around 60 years.
64 years, because that's the year I was born.
Okay. And the work that she did there for such a long time basically stopped in 2003. She passed in 2003. And I know that Michelle has expressed to me that Rita had always thought it'd be wonderful for Michelle to continue the work. So when we were looking to develop this new organization, one day I said, why don't we just continue the Planned Happiness Institute? I mean, it does sort of sum up everything that we do. And that's what we did. And since the name was available, we just went back and claimed the name, continued the nonprofit under that name, and decided that we would develop programs around it that would serve people from an educational standpoint. Basically, it's a spiritual education company.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things, thank you for that explanation. And just for the onlookers, behind Neil, you're seeing a window, and you're seeing a window without trim. And so you know I'm not lying. We literally are living in a house under construction. Under construction. So I just wanted to point that out. And I point that out for a reason too, because a couple of weeks ago, I have to tell you, because I'm always about being transparent, I was getting somewhat unnerved by the chaos in our home. And then while coaching a client and supporting my client who was about to go through some radical changes in her life, I heard myself say to her, think of it as an adventure. Be on an adventure. And it was one of those, oh my God, what was I thinking? Of course, it's an adventure. And so I say that to you because that shift of mind suddenly made it tolerable. It's still chaotic. It's still a mess, but it's not owning me anymore. And that's a beautiful thing. So one of the things that's really important about our lives and what I want to share with you all, and I have threatened to run a workshop with my ex-husband for years, and we've never done it yet. But Neil came into my life. You came into my life at a time when I had been single a very long time, but you came into my life where I already had a well-established relationship with my ex-husband and his new wife. And so all of a sudden you come in from stage left or stage right, however they say that, and you got kind of dropped into the middle of this relationship, which was very different than most people have. Not all people. I have met others who have that same relationship. But I'd like you to talk about and share, what was that like? What was it like to come into that? What did it take for you to be okay in the midst of that? And was there a lag time? So just share with us, if you will, because that's a big deal. And it's also a big deal about Marilyn, my ex-husband's wife, because if it wasn't for her, this wouldn't have been possible. She made it possible. And when you came in, you made it possible. So share with the audience, if you will, what it's like to enter a relationship like that.
Well, it took some growth on my part, actually. I had come from a divorce situation that didn't necessarily work that well in terms of continuing the relationship and understanding. And I like the fact that I guess Michelle was the first one to introduce the idea that not about divorce, but about being complete. That it was just, the relationship is just complete. This is as much as we are able to bring to each other in this particular circumstance. So, when I first got involved with Michelle and I met Bill, who I refer to as my ex-husband-in-law, that this was going to take, it was going to take me being aware and paying attention to it. And this came at a time when I was really, I can't believe it was that long ago at this point, actually, but it was the time when I had done a lot of work and I had done a lot of study and a lot of deep personal work and all that, but I had not done science of mind work. And I was just starting to do the science of mind work. And I knew that it was going to take a lot of me paying attention to what I was feeling, because I had for quite a number of years had experienced feelings of jealousy. And I knew there were tinges of that popping up in the beginning. But I love this teaching. There's an answer for almost everything in this teaching, and as I realized that this was an area I needed to grow in and that I needed to really look at myself and do my work in. And it's worked out beautifully and it's worked out wonderfully. So The fact that we can go on vacation with them, we have holiday dinners with them, and that's the way it should be, because there are 2 sons and 3 grandchildren that Bill and Michelle have together. And that's really, just like, we don't have that particular situation on my side with an ex-wife, but I do have 2 daughters and their families that have blended beautifully and love Michelle, and that Michelle loves them as well. So it's working out great.
So thank you. So the thing I want to say, if you're listening now or you're listening later, to those of you who are divorced or are divorcing, if you're dedicated enough to the highest principles, to the same principles that you adhere to live your life on a daily basis, if you keep those principles as your focal point, you can rise above what is the hypnosis, and I keep using that word lately because it really comes down to that, the hypnosis of the planet that says, after divorce there's hatred, or after divorce there's anger, and after divorce there's hurt and pain. It is not written that way. It is what we have been conditioned to believe, and what Neil said before. So the way I approach, when someone needs a divorce, is that your relationship is complete, and if it's complete, you can still feel a sense of completion within yourself, truly. And so, and imagine this, and you've seen enough examples, whoever you are, we've all seen enough of examples of angry divorced couples. We've seen enough examples of what happens is when people fight over a house, fight over children, fight over a dog, or over possessions. But I'm here to tell you, it is not necessary. It is not necessary. You have to be awake. You have to open your awareness more, and you have to choose to prioritize your children and your life. I mean, you love this person once. Did they do something you weren't happy about and you wanted to leave? Okay, maybe they did. But do you still want to sacrifice your joy to be righteous in hating this person? And it's really, really an important thing to contemplate and consider, because it's not necessary. My ex-husband, whose name is Bill, he and I came out of the spiritual community together that Neil referenced, and our dedication was to the boys. And I could not be dedicated to the boys without somewhat being dedicated to their father. Now, mind you, it wasn't always lovely. I mean, we had moments of upset and tears and all of that. But I can tell you, in total honesty, that we never destroyed each other verbally and never brought each other down. And imagine a life where we could do that. Imagine. And with your daughters, I mean, I love your daughters and I love their kids. And yet I knew we had to move slowly in that direction, right? I knew enough to not go in there and think that, if somebody's going to welcome me with open arms right away. And so we just went at a pace that's quiet and easy. And I just would love that for everyone. I mean, face it, the divorce rate hasn't slowed down from what I know about. So getting this message out to as many people as we can. Good.
That's nice. Good, Judy.
Good, Judy. Yeah. And I know that there are other people like this. It is the good news. I know there are other people, because when I talk about it, they go, oh yeah, my husband and I, we have meals all the time together, or holidays. Good. Because there is no, and I'm sorry, Neil, I'll stop talking in a second, but I just love this subject. Because when you and I and anyone listening, when we experience hate, judgment, righteousness, we are the first victims of all of that. We are the first victims, and Neil and I really know that. And
well, I don't want you to stop talking because this is not the Rev Jersey boy show. This is the girl show. And, it really has been an interesting journey from when I got divorced from my first wife. It became a whole different journey when I realized that my unhappiness had nothing to do with her, that it had totally to do with me, and that I needed to accept responsibility.
yes.
And from that point on, I knew where the work needed to be. And as you know so extremely well, the forgiveness work that I've had to do over the years has been great. And every time I thought I got there, I realized a little more wouldn't hurt, and a little more wouldn't hurt. And my ex, who just passed 3 weeks ago, I realized that after that happened, that there was still a little bit more forgiveness work and all that I could do and help clean things up. So there were moments that I recall in the past 20 years, but specifically in the past, say, 11, 12 years of learning Science of Mind and doing this teaching, where there were certain, I can remember where I was sitting and the statement that was made. And a number of those statements turned out to be what Michelle developed into the 15 keys, or we know as our 15 foundational beliefs, and I can still remember sitting there in a class and going, wait, there's a place inside me that's never been hurt, harmed, or injured. And I was so taken back, I stopped her in the middle of class and said, whoa, we're going to go over that again. And the number one belief that no one's ever against you, even if they think they are. So that those are now put together in this beautiful program that we have with Planned Happiness Institute, or PHI. But each one of those 15 was like a building block for me that I was able to put up, really, and build
Diego,
on.
if you want to scroll down, you could show people where that is. Or is that just a PDF? So yes, and since you are talking about it, keep going down a little further. This is our co-creation, by the way.
There we go.
Right there. So the 15 keys for joyous living. It is truly a life-transforming program if you're willing to do the work. Nothing's going to work if you don't want to do the work. I didn't mean that to be a commercial. I really didn't. I meant it to be, I so deeply love this teaching. My gratitude is just off the charts for the opportunity to have grown so much with these principles that just for CSLNJ for North Jersey, we have what we call Science of Mind Everyday Sundays at 9:00, where we go over this teaching. It's a free. Anybody can sign on and come in, and the conversations are just phenomenally deep and great, and we get people there every Sunday morning to talk about the principles of the teaching and how to use them every day. Science of Mind every day. They're just fantastic. And, the fact that we can bring them together into like 15 foundational beliefs, they really are the building block of, it's really brought me to a point. And I'll stop talking in a minute, like you said. But you're my guest.
But it's brought me to this point in my life, and I'm 70 years old. It took me quite a while to get here, that I live with no fear. I live with no fear. And I don't care whether it's, fear of a dog or fear of COVID. It's just a beautiful place to be able to live because of the application of these principles. That's why we have PHI, Planned Happiness Institute, is so that everybody can get to that place in their life where they live with the freedom, the joy, the happiness, but mainly no fear. Right.
And I want to bring up something else because the application of the science of mind principles absolutely transforms your life. That's why we're here. This radio show, the New Thought Media Network, is based on it. Because one of the other things, and just to talk about you and I for a second, sometimes inside, I don't feel like a confident person. Inside, I feel a little timid or quiet or, all of those things, right? But what I've only recently come to really get is that to the outside world, I appear very confident. And jokingly, recently talking to some people, I keep realizing how much that's part of my Jersey girl image and my Jersey girl upbringing. And sometimes we just look way more confident than what we might really be. And I've had to soften that over the years. I've had to soften those edges so I would invite people into my space. I am not as rough or strong as I might appear to be at times, but I am confident in that I've run the community for 20 years. I did raise my third son, alone for many years, mostly alone for many years, with help, but mostly alone for 30 years as the income producer. And so out of that, I became a full personality. And so I can, when I need to, I can fill a room energetically. Not that I want to, but you have to when you're in charge. But my husband, Neil, can also fill a room. He's just got that personality. He walks in, don't give him a mic unless you want him to have a mic. And, everybody knows him. He's devoted to this teaching, but he softens people and he helps them to become comfortable out of making them laugh and being funny. And I always say that I don't give him any pity laughs. If he's not funny, I'm not laughing. But the point I want to say to you is that we're both two large personalities. And yet, in all the years working together just as husband and wife, because of our understanding of the teaching, when Neil has to step out front and be in charge, I have no problem pulling back and getting out of the way. And then when I have to be in charge, I come forward and I fill the space. And Neil just kind of falls back into that, softer place. And this is possible because we each know that we are the divine, our birthright is of the divine. And so when you're full, when you live a life that's full, and when you live a life of where you're one with the one, you don't have to fight for space. And am I getting that point across?
Yes, you are. And from the angle you're talking about, that's absolutely true. But there's also a very perfunctory, functional angle of this, that if we're both going to work together, thank God we don't agree on everything.
Right. Yeah. Makes us better.
And I've always said, in any relationship where both people agree on absolutely everything, one of them's unnecessary. Right. So I've been in my own business almost my entire life. I don't work well for others. But one of the things I knew for sure is that I needed people to bite back. I needed people who would disagree with me. That if Michelle and I both had the same set of skills, if we had this, the same way of approaching everything, we would probably butt heads more. But I realize there are areas where she has strengths or areas where I have strengths, and that back and forth is what makes it work. And it's always good to have somebody else there as a sounding board. And it's always good to have somebody who can step in when you don't book the guest the right way. That works too. But it's appreciating the difference in each other. I think that works extremely well.
My StreamYard kicked me out.
Well, Well, there you go. Well, you missed a lot of brilliant material that I went over at that point. So
I didn't miss it. I had my Facebook on. Suddenly I was gone. I'm like, oh my God. And all the months of doing this, I've never had that happen. I'm not so sure what happened there. But see, that's the beauty. I didn't have to worry. I knew he had me covered. That's the beauty. And it is a beauty of when you really embrace what science of mind teaches, or what, let's say, metaphysics. Let's branch out. Oh, there you are. Hello, Lonnie. Let's branch out to not just metaphysics, or to science of mind. Let's go to metaphysics in general. Let's talk about, any teaching, all of the independent metaphysical communities. Anyone who teaches that you are one with the one, and if you can agree with that, align with that, accept that, and have that be your reality, then the world is a good and glorious and beautiful place.
Absolutely, no doubt. You step out of duality, you eliminate separation, and then you understand that everything only works for you. It can't work any other way. And that's why no fear.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't agree all the time. But the beautiful thing is, like, on the places we don't agree, we kind of have this, like, it's a holding pattern. And so it goes into, we're not sure yet pattern. And then when we hang in there, the truth of possibility is what comes out. That's the beautiful thing.
I don't know if I agree with that. No, just kidding.
Oh my God. Even the colors of paint, right? If it's, and it's almost like we have an unspoken veto rule, that if you really don't like something, you veto it. If I really don't like something, I veto it. But then we wait to find those places where everything's negotiable, which is, truly a beautiful thing. Yeah,
folks, would you like to go on a tour of our paint selections in the house? Well,
no.
Yeah. No, okay.
No, the place is such a mess. No, let's not. But so Neil, out of your life right now, for the men in the listening, the married men, the divorced men, the single men, all of them, what do you think is the most important thing that you have learned and that you would like to share with these individuals that would benefit their ongoing happiness?
You know what? I'll just speak the first two things that came into my mind, which I guess is not necessarily just for men, male thing. But number one is faith. Number one is that deep knowing. That has to come first. That knowing of oneness, that deep faith of oneness, that knowing that everything absolutely has to be working for me because of that oneness. And the offshoot of that is, if you are in that place, then you can live an authentic life as your authentic self, that place deep down inside, the place of the I am, that place where it's only you. And as I work with my clients all the time, I say, you need to just be your jerky self. When I was going someplace the other day and somebody said, how many people are going to be there? I said, 75. And they said, oh, 75 people. Yeah, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I think 37 and a half of them are going to really not like me. And the other 37 and a half are probably going to like me a lot. So I'm okay with those odds. That's pretty good. But it really doesn't matter. The way to live a joy-filled life is to be your authentic self, who you really are. Being your authentic self doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden going to be a landscaper or a woodworker or an artist or a teacher. That doesn't matter. What your purpose is comes out of who you are deep down inside. and you'll never be successful and you'll never be happy. And when I say success, I mean that in a number of different ways, not just the financial, but in my own experience has taught me it enormously affects the financial. You're never going to have a joy-filled, successful life until you're your authentic self. And not everybody's going to like that. Okay.
We have to stop waiting for approval.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if you asked me the two things, faith and authenticity, and the rest will take care of itself.
And you know what I didn't do again today? And I please help me with this, Neil, because we both donate to this organization, as does the Centers for Spiritual Living North Jersey. We donate monthly to this organization because we believe in it, and Reverend Robert and the work that he's doing is good. In the radio station itself that you can tune into 24 hours a day, for wonderful, wonderful New Thought music, and then all of this different programming. There is programming here from across the country, and across the pond, as they'd like to say, all sorts of beautiful, wonderful things. And I'm going to encourage you once again, as I do every week, please. Next week, I would like to see when they thank the people giving, I would love to see more and more names up there. I'd like to see them have to have two screens of names of people who donate on a regular basis, even if it's small. Give from your heart, but give to an organization that really is here selflessly to support the growth of humanity. So, if you will, then the number or the link is scrolling, and it's always on the Facebook page.
Yeah, and I think that what's really, if you've heard anything today that we've discussed, it has all boiled down to the teaching and the principle, right? And the world desperately, desperately needs this teaching. There's no doubt, right? I mean, what we're teaching people from the New Thought teaching, right? That it is so needed that things like New Thought Media Network, there should be a massive growth in this particular organization, but also just in the teaching in general. And this is a great way to get it started more and more. So thank you, Robert.
Yes, thank you, Robert. Also, just to let you know that. So I mentioned before that in our early years we marry or we come together to procreate, and now Neil and I have come together to co-create. And if you've seen, the Planned Happiness Institute website, we've done that. But we are both also teachers and coaches, and we work with people privately, and I can tell you with all confidence. It is a beauty to work with individuals with the science of mind as the foundation of who we are and what we do. Yes, that's my email address if you want to reach out. And Neil's email address is neilpinkman@gmail.com. And you can reach out to either one of us to work with privately. But the beautiful thing is, again, we have taught together. And that same balance where we didn't have to, and I don't know if you remember, it was a couple of years ago now because COVID has interrupted things. But I remember when we were teaching together, there was this natural give and receive and filling in the spaces. And I thought it was a beautiful experience. And if I remembered correctly, the students had a great time. None of this is possible, folks, though, if you don't know that the presence of God, the presence of Spirit, whatever you want to call it, is your essence, is your authority, is what makes your life possible. So I just want to speak to that, one more time. Yes, it is the indwelling Christ consciousness, and I'm clearly blessed to have, when I was single for a long time, and I thought I was ready to be in relationship, and it proved out that it wasn't. And then when I finally started, because I was never one to treat for a relationship. I wanted a natural occurrence. I wanted it to feel like an attraction. And then I did a lot of healing work, and part of it was done with my ex-husband, which is a beautiful thing. But I remember the one time that I did start treating, I wrote a treatment for myself, and this is for if you're single and you don't want to be. In my treatment, I wrote that the person that I want to be with wants to be with me, and that there was a coming together. And then I also treated that God, as this person, was showing up in my life because I wanted to meet at that spiritual level. You don't have to be in agreement about your religion or spirituality, but boy, is it good. Oh, is it good when we pray together or meditate together or create together? Because, and actually, and my husband, this was his idea on my wedding ring. Whoops, where is it? There it is. On my wedding ring, there's 3 diamonds. And so I always have this reminder, 1 diamond for me, 1 diamond for Neil, and the other diamond's for God. So our whole relationship has been God-centered. And a God-centered relationship is one based on true love, and it's the love of spirit as me. And I want that for you if you're watching. I want that for everyone who is tired of being alone and wants to be in a relationship. I want you to find that for yourself. Or if you're on your way out of a relationship, remember, you can leave with love. You actually can leave with love, as surprising as that might sound. So that's what I'm leaving you with today. Neil, what would you like to leave our audience with today?
Well, that was a beautiful expression you just had. It's hard to, I don't want to step on it in any way, but I think that along with that is that respect is such a key component. Respect for the individuality of the other person in the relationship. I remember that many of us cut our teeth on M. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled, which was probably 30 years ago at this point.
Yeah, probably.
In there, he defined love as having as vested an interest in your partner's spiritual growth as you do in your own.
Mm-hmm.
And the respect and the honoring for where that other person in the relationship is in that journey is important. Very seldom are you ever going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
One will be here, one will be here, one will be here, one will be here and here and here. But to have that respect for each other and that honoring of each other's individuality, it's just such a healthy part of it. So,
a word that you didn't use, which is one of your most valued one of your greatest values in life, and I thought you might say this also, is kindness.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes you have to learn to just shut up.
Just be kind.
You have to be kind, which means not always saying what you're thinking. And then own it. Own that this lives in, whatever my issue is, lives inside of me, and choose kindness. And if something needs to be discuss it afterwards. But discuss it after you own it. Own it first, and then talk about it. Because if you do that, you'll find more often than not, it has nothing to do with the other person. My issues have nothing to do with Neil. Yes, Judy. Well, Judy,
Yeah.
Judy is a friend from Rhode Island, and she's been in many of our classes, and Judy does good work. Judy does good work.
Yeah.
And you're a fierce spiritual warrior. The Road Less Traveled was one of the greatest books I ever read. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
a lot of stuff there.
And that's my friend Lonnie. That's our friend Lonnie. And Lonnie is one of the individuals who was originally with the Planned Happiness Institute, and an incredible individual in life. Oh, you're welcome, love. An incredible individual with just he'll meet you and say, I love you. because he believes in love.
Yeah, I just got to know Lonnie recently, and certainly he is a living example of the PHI philosophy and principles. I also want to add, in terms of kindness, my own personal belief is that I don't care how challenging and difficult a conversation is with anyone, it can still be handled with kindness.
Yep.
The emotional intelligence sometimes is required to help that happen.
Yep.
That is certainly something we work on a lot. But, the idea that, this is, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be handled with kindness, and everything resolves so much more easily that way.
Yeah, beautiful. So thank you, my darling, for being with me today on the show. I've actually thought about doing this many times, and I don't know, why I didn't do it till now, although I know why I did today, but it was really fun. And I hope for those of you listening that you got something out of this, especially when it comes to relationships and workability within a relationship. And
I was just going to offer too that, the email address went up there, and, that was put up there for a reason. Any questions you might have, any discussions you may want to have further, anything we can do to support you, that's why the email addresses are up there. It's not, they're not up there just for you to write and say, oh, that was a lovely show. I loved it. You were very, very wonderful people. That's not that, say, hey, tell me more about this. Or can you, what do you, happy to be a resource for you.
Yeah. And do think about checking out the 15 Keys to Joyous Living. You will be so happy. And actually, because it's a new program and recently launched, it's there as a discount right now. So you will definitely benefit from this course. It's one of my most proud works that I do.
That beautiful black box, by the way, is a video. We don't put black boxes up there. It's not the black hole.
I don't know why that's
there. There is a video you can watch where Michelle does a little bit of explaining.
So come back next week. See me with Reverend Dr. Georgia Prescott, and we'll have a great conversation about anti-racism work. And then, like I said, the following week we'll be with Danae Shanti, one of the new programs here on the New Thought radio station. Reverend Briz, thank you again. Diego, thank you. Neil, thank you. Please go home and be happy. And as I say every week, be well, be happy, and be brilliant. Love you. Thank you for watching.
Love you all.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.